Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. With well over 2,000 companies on the ASX, maybe well over is probably a misuse of that word, but over 2,000 companies on the ASX, it is almost impossible for an investor, particularly private investors, amateur investors, to be across the exploits of every single company. What I do is I separate companies into three lots. Companies I follow quite closely, and there's not many companies in that list. Companies I follow casually, and by far the most amount of companies are in that list. And then there are those companies I don't follow at all. The majority of those companies are either in sectors I don't really like. For instance, real estate investment trust. I'm not a big fan of those sort of companies. However, if you're all about income, those are sort of companies you might want to research. I'm not really interested in biotechs who don't make any money at all about trials. I'm not really interested in the majority of mining exploring companies either. The company I'll be focusing on today's video fits into the type of company that I do follow casually, and that company is AnteoTech. I have not done a video on this company in the past, but however, I have been following casually the exploits of this company over the past 9 years. And AnteoTech came onto my radar about 2012. And from about 2012 to 2014, there was a lot of hype about this company. And then that hype died away. And over the past 2 years, that hype has come back. And in fact, the market cap of this company reached a high of about $600 million maybe about a year ago. We did see the share price get quite high. However, I was surprised to see the share price fall about 32% on the 10th of March and then fell another 10% on the Friday, the 11th of March. I just want to understand, why has the share price fallen 43% in 2 days on massive volume? And that's the other thing here. It wasn't on small volume. This was on massive volume. So something happened with AnteoTech which caused the share price to absolutely plunge. And I'm going to explore the reasons behind that in this video today. Before we have a look at what caused this plunge in AnteoTech's share price, I just want to go back and look at the history. In fact, this is a 12-year history, looking at the monthly charts. And I became interested in this company around about 2012, 2013. I actually kind of liked the potential of this company at that point in time because they were developing technology that would help point-of-care diagnostics. And I think one of the reasons why we did see a little bit of hype in 2013, in fact, in the month of November 2013, share price rose 162% in that month on higher volume. And I think the reason the market got a little bit hyped was because of that point-of-care possibilities. But that hype kept on going for about 5 or 6 months. We did see the share price reach high of about 25 cents. Market cap would have been about maybe 200, 300 million at that point in time. However, the hype waned away. Now, I've been told about the hype, the story of this company. Now, the company doesn't generate much revenue. In fact, in the most recent half year, it was under $500,000 of sales. So this company does not produce revenue, does not produce cash flow. It's all about the story and the potential of what they're doing. And unfortunately, this potential has been going on for many years now. And I think the management have to realize this potential. And that is one reason we have seen share price plunge. However, in saying all that, that hype back in 2013 waned away during 2015 into 2016. And there was a period of time between 2017 and 2020 where the share price just went sideways. A long period of consolidation. I think the share price got to a low of about 1 cent during that period. The market cap, about $12 million. So during that period, not a lot of interest in this company, even though they still had that potential. And then during or just after the COVID-19 panic, there were a lot of catalysts, a lot of tailwinds behind this business. And that's why we did see a breakout in the share price towards the middle of 2020. The share price at that point in time was around about 2.5 cents. And the share price just kept on climbing. And that hype continued into 2021. In February 2021, the share price rose 135%. In March, the share price rose a little bit, but then in April, the share price rose another 74% and reached a high of about 49 cents. But the share price has really struggled since then and has fallen from that high of 49 cents to a current share price of 9.5. So really going to explore, not really going to explore why the share price fell from May through the start of this year. I'm really going to focus on why the share price has fallen 43% in the past 2 trading days, and is this leading to an opportunity to buy into this company at cheaper prices. From a 12-year monthly chart to, this is like almost a 2 or 3 day 5-minute chart, I think. And the reason I wanted to look at the 5-minute chart is to understand where the selling came in, because there was a lot of selling in this company and the share price dropped a lot. And I was a little bit surprised to see that on the, what was the date? The 10th of March, the share price actually was going up during the first few hours of trading. And then all of a sudden, around about 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so about 12 p.m. my time, we saw intense selling. In fact, that intense selling drove the share price down from about 17 cents all the way down to 10 cents in less than 1 hour. And again, that was on massive volume. So something happened around 1 p.m. Now, because I follow this company casually, I had no idea what happened, but there must have been a catalyst behind this significant drop in share price, and I'll explore that later. And then the selling continued not only during the rest of trading on the 10th, but also into the 11th. The share price fell to a low of about 9.2 cents and closed on the 11th of March at 9.5 cents. Because I've been following AnteoTech quite casually, I wasn't across any announcements the company has released in terms of those type of announcements that could be the catalyst for the re-rating of the share price. So I'm talking about profit upgrades, profit downgrades, those sort of things. AnteoTech did not release any sort of those announcements. So I went to the announcement page on CommSec just to see if any announcements were released on the 10th of March that could provide some evidence why the share price had dropped significantly around 1 p.m. And it was interesting to see that at 2:13 p.m., so this is about an hour after selling had begun, the company did release an investor stream interview presentation. So the company actually did give an investor webinar that started around 1 p.m. So definitely in the webinar, there was something market really hated. And that's why we saw the share price plunge from 17 cents to 10 cents in 1 hour of trading. Now, I did actually read the presentation, and because I follow this company quite casually, I saw no obvious red flags in the presentation itself. So then I went to the webinar, and they did give a link to the webinar in one of the announcements. And then the webinar went for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. I started listening to it. There were a few red flags in there initially, but I did not want to go through the whole 1 hour and 20 minutes because I found the presenter, I think he is the CEO, quite bland, and I was actually getting a little bit tired at that point in time. So then I went to the next stage. I went to the next point, and that is going to hot copper, reading the sort of sentiment in hot copper posters. And a lot of times you will, or hot copper posters will provide some good information, and they will also provide you the overall sentiment in the company. And this is really important. I actually do find hot copper provides that sentiment for you. So I went to this particular thread in the AnteoTech's page, and I found some really interesting comments around the time the webinar started, just after the intense selling started. So here are 4 comments from posters in hot copper. I'll start with Crush 75 because this was the first comment. More of the same, SHIT. Excuses, and fumbles galore. Can't even read from a script properly. So it wasn't only me that found the presentation a little bit bland, that sort of thing. Products delayed because of your ineptitude and inability to deliver a professional TGA approval, mate. So instantly, some really negative vibes coming from the first poster. Another poster mentioned trial not started in Europe, puts us at a month or 2 to go before applying for TGA. Disappointing start to the webinar. That's from Wes Bob Did It. And then Bubs Mark mentioned manufacturing issues, question mark. So even if we had approval, we couldn't sell. And then from Tim Ferriss, So sales in Europe was an outright lie. So I kept on going through all these comments on Hot Cuppa and just massive amounts of negative vibes in regards to this company and also the CEO of the company as well. So no wonder the share price plunged during that first hour of trading. Investors of the company did not like what they saw, and that's actually bad news for the company. I do think they have to make some changes, and it seems like this company does not produce much revenue. And I think the market and a lot of investors were hoping by this stage they would be seeing, or the company would producing increasing revenue, possibility increasing cash flows, that sort of thing, and the company has not delivered, and many investors are becoming impatient with AnteoTech. Now, AnteoTech did receive a price and volume query from the ASX. So the ASX saw that the share price had decreased from 17 cents to a low of 9.7 cents in a few hours of trading, in fact, or 1 hour of trading. And the ASX wanted to understand why. Now, the ASX saw that the company did have this webinar and did release a presentation titled Investor Stream Interview Presentation. And they questioned Anteo whether there was anything in the presentation or the webinar that could help explain why the share price had plunged. And that's the 4 questions. Actually, there was about 5 or 6 questions they did give AnteoTech to answer. And then when I went through the answers that AnteoTech did provide, I was actually very disappointed with their answers. So let's have a look at the answers that AnteoTech did provide. So the first question or answer was, information disclosed within the presentation may explain the recent trading in ADO securities. However, the presentation was an update on progress of previously announced activities and as such was not viewed as price sensitive. The overall reaction from the market probably says or suggests that the presentation was definitely a price sensitive announcement. ADO or AnteoTech does not believe anything material was discussed in the webinar that was not commented on in previous announcements and updates. However, to ensure full market knowledge and disclosure, ADO will lodge an announcement with a link to the webinar on the ASX platform. That's fair enough, but again, the reaction from the market suggests there was things material within the presentation, within the webinar. And then probably the most disappointing comment from AnteoTech. As responded to above, ADO will lodge an announcement with a link to the webinar on the ASX platform to enable complete disclosure to the market. And here is the point that really disappointed me. ADO views that there is general market uncertainty causing a dislocation in equity markets with increased volatility and as a result, heightened perception of risk. So what they're saying right now is, well, the share price plunging by 43% wasn't their fault. It's just the overall negative sentiment in the market. That's why the share price decreased. And I think they're just not reading the room at this point in time, which is disturbing that they can't read the room. They can't understand the overall negative sentiment in their current shareholders. And that is something they will have to address in the future, because if they don't, the share price will decrease even further from here. That's all I have for this video on AnteoTech, and there are 2 really bad days of trading on the 10th and the 11th of March. Share price decreasing 43%. Now, I am a casual follower of this company, so I'm not completely across how this company is performing in what they are doing. So if you are a shareholder of AnteoTech, I'd love to hear your opinion on how this company is performing. Are you disappointed with how management have performed over the past few months? Do you think there needs to be a change in management, maybe a new CEO? And are you concerned about their attitude in regards to the recent share price drop, blaming it on the overall negative sentiment in the market? So leave your comments or your thoughts in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your overall financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.